Institut Pertanian Bogor resmi dibentuk sebagai perguruan tinggi negeri sejak 1 September 1963 berdasarkan Surat Keputusan Menteri Perguruan Tinggi dan Ilmu Pengetahuan Nomor 91 Tahun 1963 dan disahkan oleh Keputusan Presiden Republik Indonesia Nomor 279 Tahun 1965. Sejarah berdirinya Fakultas Perikanan sejalan dengan berdirinya Institut Pertanian Bogor. Pada tahun 1971 hingga tahun 1972, Fakultas Perikanan IPB berkembang menjadi 4 jurusan, yaitu Budidaya Perairan, Manajemen Sumber Daya Perairan, Pemanfaatan Sumber Daya Perairan, dan Teknologi Pasca Panen. Selanjutnya, pada tanggal 5 Agustus 2003, jurusan Budidaya Perairan berubah nama menjadi Departemen Budidaya Perairan yang fokus dalam menunjang sumber daya manusia yang berkualitas dalam bidang aquaculture dan menghasilkan beragam riset yang mampu meningkatkan perkembangan aquaculture baik dari segi kesehatan, pakan, lingkungan, biologi, hingga teknologi. Dalam mewujudkan sumber daya manusia yang berkualitas di bidang aquaculture, Departemen Budidaya Perairan dilengkapi dengan berbagai sarana dan prasarana untuk menunjang kegiatan akademik maupun non-akademik. Terdapat 5 divisi akademik Departemen Budidaya Perairan, yaitu Divisi Nutrisi Ikan, Kesehatan Ikan, Lingkungan Aquaculture, Reproduksi dan Genetika, serta Manajemen Aquaculture. Pembagian divisi didasarkan pada konsentrasi dan fokus akademisi dalam memajukan dunia aquaculture. Divisi Nutrisi Ikan dan Teknologi Pakan fokus pada penelitian dan pengembangan ilmu dan teknologi nutrisi yang mencakup pengembangan bahan baku pakan serta pengkayaan pakan alami. Hal tersebut untuk mendukung upaya efisiensi dan produksi aquaculture yang berkelanjutan serta peningkatan kualitas daging ikan. Divisi Kesehatan Ikan fokus pada pendidikan, penelitian, pengembangan ilmu dan teknologi pengelolaan kesehatan ikan, meliputi pengembangan teknik diagnosa berbagai penyakit ikan, aplikasi probiotik, prebiotik dan simbiotik, fitofarmaka, dan pengembangan vaksin ikan. Divisi Reproduksi dan Genetik Organisme Akuatik fokus pada penelitian dan pengembangan ilmu reproduksi, domestikasi, dan perbaikan genetik untuk meningkatkan produktivitas aquaculture serta kinerja pertumbuhan organisme akuatik. Divisi Lingkungan Aquaculture fokus pada pengembangan dan evaluasi ilmu dan teknologi lingkungan budidaya yang mencakup identifikasi, monitoring, pemanfaatan, dan pengelolaan lingkungan akuatik. Hal tersebut dilakukan untuk mendukung produksi aquaculture yang efisien dan berkelanjutan. Divisi Manajemen Aquakultur fokus pada penelitian dan pengembangan manajemen produksi biota akuatik serta sistem bisnisnya yang berbasis pada paradigma budidaya berkelanjutan dan ramah lingkungan. Departemen Budidaya Perairan dilengkapi dengan kolam pemeliharaan organisme akuatik yang terdiri dari kolam beton, kolam terpal, serta bak fiber berbagai ukuran. Teaching Farm fokus dalam memproduksi ikan hias mulai dari jenis ikan hias relung atas, relung tengah, hingga relung bawah. Marine Station merupakan sarana pendukung dalam produksi pemeliharaan biota akuatik yang membutuhkan lingkungan dengan salinitas yang tinggi. Sekretariat Himakua merupakan tempat berkumpulnya himpunan mahasiswa akuakultur FPIK IPB dalam mendiskusikan berbagai program yang dapat meningkatkan soft skill dan hard skill, baik dalam ranah keprofesian dan non-keprofesian. Himakua FPIK IPB telah berhasil membuat sebuah event akuakultur terbesar yang diselenggarakan oleh mahasiswa, yaitu Aquafest IPB. Berbagai kegiatan studi banding baik bersama dengan lembaga formal dan non-formal, perusahaan dan non-perusahaan, serta berbagai kerjasama dengan pihak sponsor dan stakeholder aquakultur, dengan tujuan memajukan dunia aquakultur melalui sudut pandang milenial. Sekretariat Aquascape IPB Community. Aquascape merupakan seni mendesain dan menata ruang akuarium sehingga memiliki nilai jual dan ekosistem yang lebih baik. Untuk itu, AIC hadir sebagai wadah minat dan bakat seluruh sivitas IPB dalam bidang aquascape. Tersedianya berbagai sarana dan prasarana yang menunjang kegiatan akademik dan non-akademik mampu meningkatkan prestasi mahasiswa budidaya perairan baik dalam kancah nasional hingga internasional. Berbagai riset-riset unggul yang dihasilkan hingga terciptanya produk-produk aquakultur sebagai upaya dalam meningkatkan produktivitas aquakultur Indonesia.
Saya, Didi Humedi Yusuf, alumni BDP Jaya.
Saya Iqbal, alumni BDP Jaya.
Saya Sally Sylvia, saya alumni BDP Jaya.
Saya Syakiro, saya alumni BDP Jaya.
Penerapan ilmu yang cukup luas menjadi faktor kehidupan pasca kampus yang pasti bagi mahasiswa Departemen Budidaya Perairan, baik yang bergerak di bidang usaha dan produksi aquakultur, peneliti, manajemen aquakultur, ahli lingkungan perairan, dan berbagai posisi dalam dunia aquakultur. Mari bergabung bersama menjadi bagian dari Departemen Budidaya Perairan FPIK IPB sebagai upaya dalam menciptakan aquakultur yang berkelanjutan dalam menyukseskan lumbung pangan dunia di masa yang akan datang.
sobat, pernah lihat produk-produk hasil perikanan ini? Di IPB University ada loh jurusan khusus mempelajari bagaimana mengolah produk hasil perikanan. Yuk sama-sama kita lihat profil Departemen Teknologi Hasil Perairan IPB.
Selamat datang di Departemen Teknologi Hasil Perairan, Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan, IPB University. Departemen Teknologi Hasil Perairan IPB berawal dari bagian teknologi ikan, Departemen Tata Produksi Perikanan yang bernaung di bawah Fakultas Perikanan sejak 1 September 1963. Pada tahun 2005, program studi teknologi hasil perikanan secara resmi berubah nama menjadi Departemen Teknologi Hasil Perairan atau dikenal sebagai Departemen THP IPB. THP IPB merupakan pelopor dalam pengembangan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi hasil perairan di Indonesia. Berdasarkan Indeks Sinta Kementerian Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset, dan Teknologi, THP IPB berada di urutan pertama di antara jurusan teknologi hasil perairan se-Indonesia, baik dari segi mutu kualitas pembelajaran dan fasilitas. THP IPB tercatat mendominasi daftar karya inovatif Indonesia paling prospektif melalui program Inovasi 100 Plus Business Innovation Center sejak tahun 2008 hingga saat ini. Departemen THP IPB memiliki program studi sarjana dan pasca sarjana yang telah terakreditasi A oleh Badan Akreditasi Nasional Indonesia, dan pada tahun 2016 THP IPB telah mendapatkan akreditasi internasional dari AUN-KIE. Untuk menjamin keberlangsungan pendidikan yang bermutu tinggi, THP IPB didukung oleh staf pengajar berpengalaman dan berkompeten. Dengan rasio jumlah profesor sudah berada di atas rata-rata nasional. Untuk melaksanakan penelitian yang menghasilkan teknologi inovatif dan aplikatif, THP IPB didukung dengan laboratorium terstandar ISO 17025. Dalam pengembangan keilmuannya, THP IPB memiliki 3 divisi, yaitu Divisi Bahan Baku, Teknologi Pengolahan, dan Bioteknologi Hasil Perairan. Divisi Bahan Baku Hasil Perairan berfokus pada penanganan, preparasi, dan karakterisasi bahan baku hasil perairan, baik dari komoditas hasil tangkap maupun budidaya, dengan tujuan mempertahankan mutu dan keamanan bahan baku hasil perairan dalam rangka menentukan kesesuaian teknologi pengolahan lebih lanjut. Divisi Teknologi Pengolahan Hasil Perairan berfokus pada pengolahan hasil perairan serta pemanfaatan hasil samping dan limbah industri hasil perairan sebagai bahan pangan maupun non-pangan. Divisi Bioteknologi Hasil Perairan berfokus pada eksplorasi pemanfaatan potensi sumber daya hayati perairan untuk menghasilkan produk bernilai tambah. Divisi Bioteknologi Hasil Perairan juga melakukan kajian keamanan produk hasil perairan, baik dari segi mikrobiologi, biokimia, dan molekuler. Kurikulum THP telah beradaptasi dan menerapkan konsep pendidikan IPB 4.0 yang mengutamakan pada integrasi karakter, hard skill, dan soft skill, serta memetakan dan memutakhirkan school of thought. Departemen THP telah menyusun kurikulum baru yang mengkombinasikan antara kebijakan pendidikan milenial IPB 4.0 dan konsep Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka atau K2020. Kami memberikan ruang kepada mahasiswa untuk menyampaikan aspirasi dan menjalin kolaborasi agar terciptanya sinergi antar sivitas dalam proses belajar mengajar. mahasiswa dapat mengambil enrichment course, program berupa mata kuliah pilihan di luar Departemen THP. Kegiatan student exchange, keikutsertaan dalam kompetisi, international conference, entrepreneur activity, summer course, dan kegiatan lainnya.
Okay, and then after we set the schedule, and then if you are not available during that time, then let's adjust it.
Kami menyediakan wadah bagi seluruh mahasiswa untuk mengembangkan kemampuan, potensi, serta bakat yang dimiliki agar menjadi lulusan yang kompetitif, kreatif, inovatif, dan memiliki kompetensi yang tinggi di bidang ilmu teknologi hasil perairan. Mari bersama membangun perikanan dan kelautan Indonesia dengan menjadi keluarga besar Departemen Teknologi Hasil Perairan, Fakultas Perikanan, dan Ilmu Kelautan IPB University.
Departemen Pemanfaatan Sumber Daya Perikanan merupakan bagian dari Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan Institut Pertanian Bogor. Cikal bakal departemen ini berasal dari jurusan Perikanan Laut saat IPB didirikan pada tahun 1963. Departemen PSP memiliki dua program studi. Yang pertama, program studi Teknologi dan Manajemen Perikanan Tangkap untuk tingkat sarjana, dan yang kedua, program studi Teknologi Perikanan Laut untuk tingkat pasca sarjana. Dan saat ini, program studi Teknologi dan Manajemen Perikanan Tangkap telah meluluskan lebih dari 3.000 sarjana. Departemen PSP merupakan departemen tertua dan menjadi acuan departemen sejenis di Indonesia. Wah, keren banget ya! Perkenalkan, saya Singgi Prihadi Aji, alumni PSP IPB Angkatan 41 atau Angkatan 2004. Kuliah di Departemen Pemanfaatan Sumber Daya Perikanan Institut Pertanian Bogor. Mungkin bagi sebagian besar orang pada lulusan SMA tahun 2004 dianggap sebagai program studi yang terdengar asing dan menjadi pertanyaan. Kuliahnya tentang apa ya? Terus, lulus mau jadi apa ya? Tapi ternyata, begitu masuk dan diterima, saya mendapatkan ilmu yang seharusnya warga negara Indonesia mengerti tentang dunia perikanan. Khususnya perikanan tangkap, karena Indonesia 2/3 bagiannya adalah laut. Bagi saya, lulusan S1 Departemen PSP IPB tentu saja bukan menjadi hambatan yang berarti. Karena suasana belajar yang kondusif, dengan dosen-dosen yang friendly, bahkan saya menganggap mereka seperti sahabat dan keluarga. Namun tidak melupakan etika dan tanggung jawab sebagai tenaga pendidik yang profesional dan dapat menempatkan mahasiswa menjadi rekan diskusi. Saat ini saya bekerja pada Direktorat Pengawasan Pengelolaan Sumber Daya Perikanan, Ditjen PSDKP, Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan, dan menjabat sebagai pengawas perikanan ahli muda, sekaligus sebagai subkoordinator pengawasan bidang pembudidayaan ikan di perairan umum dan air tawar. Memilih PSP tentu sangat linear atau sejalan dengan tugas dan fungsi pekerjaan sehari-hari, di mana setiap hari berkecimpung di dunia pengawasan perikanan yang basic ilmunya saya dapatkan di kampus tercinta IPB. Yang menjadi nilai utama saat perkuliahan adalah program-program yang dibangun oleh PSP mendorong mahasiswa untuk bisa berpikir kritis terhadap isu-isu di dunia perikanan, baik dalam negeri maupun internasional. Proses itu tentu saja dapat dilalui dengan ketekunan, semangat memperbaiki diri, dan juga dukungan dosen-dosen yang mumpuni.
Salam kenal teman-teman, nama saya Calvin Nathanael Tambulon, alumni Institut Pertanian Bogor, Departemen Pemanfaatan Sumber Daya Perikanan, Angkatan ke-52 atau tahun 2000.
teman ikan di joget sama di kotam dia menyanyi sebab mangkar jula-jula, sebab mangkar jula-jula. Cuplak-cuplak suwange tengkel lenter membuka tondong kuda pak empong lerak-lere sopong guyun dele ake sir pong dele kopong sir pong dele kopong. Ampar pisangku belum masak sabigi diurung bari-bari manggalepok patah kayu bengkok dimakan api apinya cangcurupan. Rasa sayangi lihat dari jauh. Rasa sayangi lihat dari jauh. Rasa sayangi. Honke riro, honke jombe riro, honke riro, honke jombe riro.
Semoga karya ini bisa mewakili seluruh kecintaan kita terhadap Indonesia. Berdoa mulai. Indonesia merdeka!
Teman ikan di joget sama di kotam dia menyanyi sebab mangkar jula-jula, sebab mangkar jula-jula. Seksi teman ikan di joget sama di kotam dia menyanyi sebab mangkar jula-jula, sebab mangkar jula-jula. Cuplak-cuplak suwange tengkel lenter membuka tondong kuda pak empong lerak-lere sopong guyun dele ake sir pong dele kopong sir pong dele kopong. Ampar pisangku belum masak sabigi diurung bari-bari manggalepok patah kayu bengkok dimakan api
Indonesia. Semoga karya ini bisa mewakili seluruh kecintaan kita terhadap Indonesia. Berdoa mulai. Indonesia,
Seksi batu manikan di berjoget sama di kotam dia menyanyi sebab mengkar jula-jula, sebab mengkar jula-jula. Seksi batu manikan di berjoget sama di kotam dia menyanyi sebab mengkar jula-jula, sebab mengkar jula-jula. Cuplak-cuplak suang tengkel lenter membuka tondong kuda pak empong lerak-lere sopong guyung dele age sirpong dele kopong sirpong dele kopong. Ampar pisangku belum masak sabigi diurung bari-bari manggalepok patah kayu bengkok dimakan api apinya cangcurupan. Rasa sayang sayangi lihat dari jauh. Rasa sayang sayangi lihat dari jauh. Rasa sayang sayangi.
Tak itu ya, depok kena ya berarti ya. Ya itu, wes.
Benar Pak.
Bisa mau sih Bu.
Mulai.
Oh iya. Ya Allah. Materi ya.
Awal-awal ya.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good afternoon, the distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. We are delighted to welcome you all on the 5th EMBRIO International Symposium 2021 with Sustainable Development of Fisheries and Marine Resource at MICE COVID-19 era and beyond. Host by EMBRIO, or enhancing marine biodiversity research in Indonesia. My name is Rizka, and I'm going to be your master of ceremony for this lovely day. First of all, the Honorable Rector of IPB University, Professor Dr. Arif Satria, Dean of the Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, Dr. Insinyur Ferdinand Yulianda, Director of International Program IPB University, Professor Iskandar Zulkarnain Siregar, Director of EMBRIO IPB University, Dr. Vita Rumanti Kurniawati, Chairman of the 5th EMBRIO International Symposium 2021, Dr. Iksan Ahmad Fauzi, the Honorable, our keynote speaker, Insinyur Agung Kuswandono, as a Secretary of the Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs. Our invited speakers, Petri Suranen from Natural Resource Institute, Finland, Dr. Ru Angeli Adrada Ebo from University of Strathclyde, UK, Insinyur Kuncoro Catur Nugroho, as Chairman of Indonesia Blue Swimming Crab Producer Association, Dr. Insinyur Budi Wiryawan from Department of Fisheries Resources Utilization, IPB University, the Honorable our moderators, Professor Dr. Insinyur Ditri G. Bengen, Dr. Insinyur Lucky Adrianto, fellow researcher, participants, and another honorable guest. We will start a minute of silence for the first day symposium. The time begins. Finish. Thank you very much. Next, we will hear Republic of Indonesia National Anthem, Indonesia Raya, followed by Hymne IPB University.
Indonesia
Ladies and gentlemen, EMBRIO, or Enhancing Marine Biodiversity Research in Indonesia, is a network initiative initiated by IPB University to promote scientific innovation based on marine biodiversity resources, and also to grow into an Indonesia-wide network with strategic international partners, and a center of excellence in Indonesia marine biodiversity research. The one of EMBRIO activities is the International Symposium. In 2021, this activity will be held by 5th. The symposium wouldn't be possible with the help and support by Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, IPB University, and international collaboration of IPB University. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start the speech session. For the first speech, we're pleased to invite the chairman of the 5th EMBRIO International Symposium 2021 to deliver a report speech. To Dr. Iksan Ahmad Fauzi, please take your time.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Thank you to each of and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you into the 5th EMBRIO International Symposium. As the organizing chief of 2021 EMBRIO International Symposium, first we would like to say thank you to the Honorable Professor Arif Satria, Director of IPB University, for the unwavering support for this activity. To Dr. Ferdinand Yulianda, the Dean of Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, for the help and guidance to organize this symposium, and to Dr. Iskandar Zulkarnain, Director of International Collaboration Office, IPB University, for the support to facilitate this symposium. We also like to say thank you to our distinguished speakers, Insinyur Agung Suwandono, Secretary of Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs, Dr. Petri Suranen from Natural Resource Institute, Finland, Dr. Ru Angeli Edrada Ebel from Strathclyde University, Scotland, Insinyur Kuncoro Catur Nugroho from Indonesian Blue Swimming Crab Producer Association, and Dr. Budi Wiryawan from Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences at IPB University. And also, I would like to say thank you for our EMBRIO team for the hard work to organize this symposium. IPB University is a leading institution in the research program to explore aquatic biodiversity in Indonesia. One of the ways to support this goal is through EMBRIO. With the EMBRIO, collaboration among researchers from various institutions within the related field become the key to achieve that goal. EMBRIO was established in 2013 and involved in several activities to strengthen the function of the programs. Activity that has been carried out in 2013 until 2021, such as the foreign partner visitation from Australia, New Zealand, Germany, and United Kingdom to discuss cooperation that can be carried out between those institutions. And also, every 2 years, EMBRIO is organizing EMBRIO International Symposium, which is carried out every odd years. The 5th EMBRIO International Symposium is being held by EMBRIO team as the forum for researchers from all of the world to share their latest findings related to fisheries and marine biodiversity. The first National Symposium of EMBRIO was held in 2013, and then the second in 2015, the third is in 2017, and the fourth is 2019. In total, the symposium were attended by researchers, lecturers, or stakeholders from several countries in Asia, Europe, Australia. Today, in 2021, still hampered by the COVID situation, we maintain the continuity of this activity to build cooperation related to development of aquatic biodiversity in Indonesia. In this event, more than 81 people will present their research result under the common theme of sustainable development of fisheries and marine resource amidst COVID era and beyond. The participation comes from various roles: lecturer, researcher, researcher, and student from various countries such as Chile, Finland, United Kingdom, Japan, Philippines, Germany, and Indonesia. The resulted scientific papers from this event will be published internationally in Earth and Environmental Science, IOP. It is our hope that this international workshop will stimulate research into this favorite area of fisheries and marine biodiversity, especially amidst the fundamental concept of those sectors in the COVID area. And lastly, I would like to welcome all the participants and audience into this symposium. Hopefully, this symposium will give new insight that can be beneficial for the development of fisheries and marine sector in the world. Thank you very much and welcome to this symposium.
Thank you, Dr. Iksan, for the report speech. Ladies and gentlemen, following the first, we humbly present the Dean, Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, IPB University, Dr. Ferdinand Yulianda, to deliver welcoming speech. To Dr. Ferdinand Yulianda, the time is yours.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let us thank to the Almighty God because of His blessing today, allowing our digital interconnection in this symposium. The Honorable Rector of IPB University, Professor Arif Satria, the Honorable Pak Agung Kuswandono, Secretary of Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs. I thank you for our distinguished guests, Pak Kunchoro Nugroho, Executive Director of the Indonesian Blue Swimming Crab Association, APRI, Pak Ivan H. Jogi, Director of the Indonesian Longline Tuna Association, Petri Suronen, PhD from Natural Resources Institute, Finland, Dr. Ru Angeli Edrada Edel, Stathcliffe University, Glasgow, Scotland. I apologize if there was a mistake in spelling your name. And the last, Dr. Budi Wiryawan, Master of Science from Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, IPB University. And also my colleagues, the moderators, Professor Dietrich, Jeffrey Bengen, and Dr. Luki Adrianto, Director of EMBRIO, Dr. Vita Kurniawati, and also the Chairman of Organizing Committee, Dr. Ihsan Fauzi. I'm also greatly honored to have this opportunity in welcoming Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to the 5th EMBRIO International Symposium, broadcasted from Bogor, Indonesia. EMBRIO, that is established in 2013, is a think tank unit at the Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, IPB University. This conducts mainstream marine biodiversity research at IPB, as well as at the national and international level. EMBRIO Symposium is held biannually to disseminate research results on marine biodiversity and fisheries, to promote innovative solutions supporting blue ocean economy in the nation. Also to strengthen the network and academic outreach through collaboration, presentation of ideas, and research finding. Also publication at reputable journal and proceedings. In its fifth event, the faculty would like to further discuss and rethink sustainability for the marine biodiversity, fisheries, and the health of our ocean, seas, and coasts. Indonesia is the largest archipelagic country and the home of delicate biogenic coastal ecosystem. Therefore, many coastal communities are relying highly on ocean resources for food, livelihood, and culture. COVID-19 is not the sole disruption to humanity. Marine biodiversity and fisheries worldwide since the pandemic has helped us in rethinking deep and wide that there are linkage between marine-based sector and land-based industries with the economic, societal repercussion across the entire economy. Recovery is a must. However, sustainability, resilient, and equitable framework should be input into place, enabling the great reset and build back better, which contribute to economic growth, improve livelihoods, while preserving the health of marine ecosystem and nurturing marine biodiversity. Taking into account these few points in the symposium, I encourage
Putus ya, Mbak?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are sorry. Maybe it is a mistake for the.
I have trouble with signal.
Dr. Ferdinand Yulianda will come back.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got trouble with my signal. So, Mbak Rizka, is my speed is finished already or not?
Yes, sir. Is it?
Yes, sudah jelas, Pak.
Okay. So we start from where? From the beginning, Rizka?
Sorry, Desa.
Yes.
It's stuck when you talk about marine biodiversity.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I try to
the point that you want to point out. That's when we stop just now.
Okay, I continue my speech about in each fifth event. The faculty, we would like to further discuss and rethink sustainability for marine biodiversity, fisheries, and the health of our ocean, seas, and coasts. Indonesia is the largest archipelagic country and the home of delicate biogenic coastal ecosystem. Therefore, many coastal communities are relying highly on ocean resources for food, livelihood, and culture. COVID-19 is not the sole disruption to humanity, marine biodiversity, and fisheries worldwide since the pandemic has helped us in a rethink deep and wide that there are linkage between marine-based sector and land-based industries with the economic and societal repercussion across the entire economy. Recovery is a must. However, sustainability, resilient, and equitable framework should be put into place, enabling the great reset and build back better, which contribute to economic growth, improve livelihoods, while preserving the health of marine ecosystem and nurturing marine biodiversity. Taking into account this viewpoint in this symposium, and I encourage you all to discuss how and what we can do to support and co-create sustainable development of fisheries and marine resource amidst COVID-19 era and beyond. Thank you very much for your kind attention. May we have a fruitful scientific meetup, collaboration, and networking. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Ferdinand Yulianda, for the wonderful speech. And now, we're pleased to invite the Rector of IPB University, Professor Arif Satria, to deliver opening ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Professor Arif Satria.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yang saya hormati Dean of Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, Pak Ferdinand, Director of International Program IPB, Director of EMBRIO IPB, and Chairman of the 5th ACE 2021. All keynote speakers, Pak Agung Kuswandono, as the Secretary of Coordinating Ministry of Foreign Maritime and Investment Affairs. Our invited speakers from Finland, from Scotland, as well as from APRI, and then from IPB, and moderator, Pak Luki dan Pak Kitrih. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the 5th EMBRIO International Seminar. It is a high times that such event took place to highlight the remarkable contribution which marine biodiversity application make in so many areas of our life. Reflecting on current symposium theme, sustainable development of fisheries and marine resource amidst COVID-19 era, and we can reflect on how the pandemic has had severe ramifications worldwide. Yet, COVID also offers opportunity for us to turn the tide against unsustainable use of fisheries and marine biodiversity, thus saving our ocean. The global lockdown measures were intended to restrain the coronavirus pandemic to a certain degree, from travel restriction, port closure, to disruption of all aspects related with the supply chain and other ocean-based industry. And we should have acknowledged the ocean vital service that fuels global ocean economy and maintain local to national jobs, income, and food security. Strategic response have been performed by the government, public and private sector to provide solutions for rebuilding a more robust, sustainable, and equitable post-COVID, while universities and research institutions can provide support by ensuring evidence-based management and development of science for policy remains in place and is enforced. Therefore, we should take advantage of this moment to rebuild cooperation, strengthen collaboration, and depart from business as usual to ensure every sector transformation would foster long-term economic growth, mutually support education and research, also to build social and environmental benefit, which are resilient to many disruptions and other crises in the future. Before ending my opening speech and welcome remarks, I'd like to take this chance to thank Dr. Petri Suronen from Natural Resource Institute of Finland, Dr. Ru Angeli Engrada Edel from Strathclyde University of Scotland, Pak Budi Wirjawan and Pak Kuncoro Caturnugroho, who represent the Indonesian Fisheries Association, for their support to this event. Last but not least, I'd like to extend my heartiest thanks to our long-term colleagues from the Coordinating Ministry of Marine and Investment Affairs of Republic Indonesia, particularly to Pak Agung Kuswandono, who have always been providing great support to IBB via research collaborations, policy formulation, and agro-maritime national development over these years. To presenters and symposium participants, I cordially thank you for your coming and your support. Finally, I wish you all every success. And Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I'd like to declare that the 5th EMBRIO International Symposium is officially open. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Arif Satria, for the wonderful speech to opening ceremony. And now, the 5th EMBRIO International Symposium 2021 is officially started. Before to the next agenda, we hold a photo session. To all speakers, the distinguished guests and participants, make sure and please can switch your camera on because the operator takes some pictures together. And please smile your brightest during the session. I will count down from 3, and to everyone, please be ready. For your information, that we have a 6th page from this session. So I'm going to take in the first page, 3, 2, 1. And then second page, 3, 2, 1. The third page, 3, 2, 1. And the next page, 3, 2, 1. The 5th page, 3, 2, 1. And the last page, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. Moving forward, we would like to invite our keynote speaker, Insinyur Agung Kuswandono, as a Secretary of the Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs. Insinyur Agung Kuswandono earned his master's degree in economy, Colorado State University, United States, and bachelor's degree in forestry, IPB University. He has experience and achievement like Satya Lencana Kebaktian Sosial, Satya Lencana Wirakarya, Komisioner of PT Bank Tabungan Negara, Presiden Komisioner of PT Biro Klasifikasi Indonesia, Secretary of the Coordinating Ministry for Maritime Affairs, Coordinating Ministry for Maritime Affairs and Investment, and Document Checker Functional Officer Training, Badan Pendidikan dan Latihan Keuangan. To Insinyur Agung Kuswandono, please take your time.
Thank you, Mbak Rizka. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Robis Rohli, Sodri Wasirli Amri, Walukatan Milisani, Yafqahu Qawli, Amma Ba'du. Distinguished Rector of IBB University, Professor Dr. Arif Satria, distinguished Mr. Petri Suronen from Finland, distinguished Dr. Angeli Edada Edel from Scotland, distinguished my mentor, Pak Ferdinand Julianda, the Dean of Faculty of Fisheries and Marine, IPB University, distinguished the moderator, Dr. Dietrich Bengen, my mentor also, distinguished Pak Ihsan, and seluruh jajaran pimpinan dan sivitas akademika IPB University. Sorry, I cannot state it one by one. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Agung Guswandono. My occupation right now is Secretary of Coordinating Ministry for Maritime Affairs and Investment, Republic of Indonesia. It is my great honor to participate of the 5th EMBRIO International Symposium held by the IPB University. I do hope that my involvement here could be beneficial to all audiences. If you feel bored or getting stomachache while listening to my presentation, please just turn off your laptop. Thank you. Since my background is mostly related to government policies, let me share my thought concerning marine and fisheries subjects from the government point of view. But before starting my presentation, I would like to inform you that my presentation is not representing the government. This is purely my thinking and my ideas. Okay, let's start. I am asked to explain about the effect of COVID-19 pandemic to our marine and fisheries condition. In my opinion, COVID-19 pandemic does not affect specifically or directly to our marine and fisheries. Of course, the whole economy is getting slowed down, including marine and fisheries aspects. But behind the disadvantages of the COVID-19 pandemic, I found that this pandemic has something that we can take advantage of that. Yes, we could use COVID-19 pandemic as a momentum for us to review and evaluate the strategies and policies we have done so far to our marine and fisheries so far. Let's start our evaluation from what we have in concerning marine and fisheries. Our country, Indonesia, as mentioned before, is the biggest archipelagic country in the world. Around 76% of the area is ocean. We have more than 17,500 islands. The populations of the country is about 275 million people. It means that we have big potential market. So it is understandable that marine and fisheries should take part as the backbone of national economy. Marine and fisheries should drive the development of the country and eradicate the unemployment and elevate the prosperity of the people. There are many challenges and problems that can be solved by using marine and fisheries. However, ironically, marine and fisheries contributes only small parts in our national budget. Every year, marine and fisheries contribute less than 1 trillion rupiah. So small compared to the big potential of them. Fish consumption per capita per year in Indonesia is around 30 kilograms, too small compared to the Singapore, Malaysia, Korea, and Japan. Most of low-income people is fishermen and coastal communities. 1 out of 3 children suffered from stunting, the condition that should not occur in the country that has fisheries and marine treasure. Our national fisheries activities are recorded below Malaysia, Singapore, and Vietnam in Southeast Asia. Moreover, national salt production could not fulfill the need of national industrial salt in terms of volume and quality. Considering the irony, we have to think what is wrong. We have a lot of treasure, but it could not fix our problems. This is my own opinion. We have been sleeping so long and doing almost nothing with our treasure, marine and fisheries. We have been doing strategies of marine and fisheries just as business as usual. Again, this is my own opinion. We do not have holistic, integrated strategies concerning our marine and fisheries. What we have done so far is not sufficient for solving our national problems. The strategies do not run well. It is because the roadmap does not contain complete steps from downstream to upstream. There are a lot of technologies of marine and fisheries. But unfortunately, technology of marine and fisheries that are conducted in Indonesia is not the advanced one. It seems to me that the biggest of Indonesian marine and fisheries problems is mismanagement. Talking about mismanagement, we must talk about the government rules. That's why, in my opinion, to settle the problem, we must start from the government. The question is, which government? KKP only? No, the entire government. A lot of stakeholders that must involve in this subject. Who is dealing with fisheries, transportation, industries, ports, marketing, administration, law, environment, central government, provinces, districts, almost all aspects. This, I mean, the holistic and integrated roadmap. Okay, we do not yet define what the treasure is. What do we mean by marine and fisheries resources? We could divide the resources into three parts. First, fisheries. We have thousands of kinds of fish, crabs, shrimps, lobsters, seaweeds, pearl, and so on. Second, oil, gas, and minerals. Our coastal area and oceans are rich of oil, gas, and minerals. So far, oil and gas and minerals are mined and give significant contribution to our national revenues. But in terms of government business, oil, gas, and mineral are not considered as marine and fisheries matters. There are specific industry for them, separated from marine and fisheries matters. Third, the ocean water. Actually, this is the treasure that will be sustainable forever. But ironically, so far, this is the treasure that cultivated the least significantly. The biggest product cultivated from ocean water is salt, natrium chloride. Salt is mineral that is very important as a raw material for about 400 kind of industries in Indonesia. Indonesia should have ability to produce adequate amount of salt needed by the industries. But until today, the production of national salt is just half of the amount needed by industries. Moreover, the salt produced has lower quality to meet industrial requirements. Okay, now we understand the reality. We have a lot of natural resources, but we cannot use it for our advantages because lack of good management. Now, what should we do to fix the problems? First, wake up. Let's use the pandemic COVID-19 as a wake-up call. Let's start new thinking, new strategies. Of course, right now, we have to think the strategies holistically and must be integrated through all aspects, through all stakeholders. We must set up a roadmap that consists of integrated network among any milestone from downstream, midstream to upstream. We have to create demand or market of our natural resources. By doing so, it means that we have to manage supply chain industries. Industries of marine and fisheries, which will beneficial not only for the haves, but also for the low-income people. Government of Indonesia has to take the most important role, in my opinion. Yes, our biggest problem is mismanagement. So the one who can fix is the government. So the government has to make holistic and integrated roadmap, setting up who are the stakeholders and strict to the ultimate objective, which is prosperity of low-income people. When I say government, it means all related organizations, not only the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, also not only the central governments, but provincial and district governments, state-owned companies, expert college, universities, and also private companies. So we have to work all together. Last but not least, we must educate our people to have new habit or customs, which is consuming more fish or seaweed products, just like the people of Korea or Japan. So we have to make diversification products of fish and seaweed so people can consume it everywhere and anytime. So the slogan that we make, Ayo gemar makan ikan, must be restated not only eating fish literally, but eating any product based on fish and seaweed and any resources from oceans. A lot of work to do, a lot of challenges in front of us. Big dream. It must be difficult, yes, but it is not impossible. So let's do it. We have to work together. Expert, universities, entrepreneurs, and governments. Thank you for your attention. Alhamdulillah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mbak.
Thank you, Insinyur Agung Kuswandono. There is insight presentation. On behalf of committee, we would like to give token of appreciation for the keynote speaker to Insinyur Agung Kuswandono. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mbak Rizka, IPB University, for the certificate.
You're welcome, Pak. Before to the next agenda, to all participants, feel free to give reaction in the icon reaction in the Zoom if you want to time in the Zoom chat box. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we would like to start the invited speakers. We please invite our moderator, Professor Dietrich G. Bengen, to lead an honor plenary session and following his discussion session. Professor Dietrich G. Bengen earned his PhD degree of Quantitative Hydrobiology, Institut National Polytechnique de Toulouse, France, Magister Quantitative Aquatic Ecology, Université de Toulouse 3, France, Magister Coastal and Marine Ecology and Management, École Nationale Agronomique de Rennes, France, also Bachelor's in Water Resources Management, IPB University. His expertise, aquatic resources management, and he has also experience and achievement, Professor of Water Resources Management and lecturer in the Department of Marine Science and Technology, Head of Marine Hydrobiology Division, Department of Marine Science and Technology, IPB University, Chairman of the Senate Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, IPB University, also Secretary General of the Association of Indonesian Coastal Management Expert. To Professor Diti, the time is yours. We are sorry, Prof. Ditri, you are in mute. Please unmute first.
Thank you so much, Mbak Rizka. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and greeting to all of us. First of all, I would like to greet our two invited speakers in this afternoon. The first, Dr. Petri Suronen from Natural Resources Institute of Finland. And the second, Dr. Ru Angeli Ebrada Ebel. For the first speakers, I would like to briefly introduce the biodata of Dr. Petri Suronen. Dr. Suronen's expertise is in the field of fisheries development, fisheries management advice, low impact and fuel efficient fishing practice, bycatch management, ecosystem approach to fisheries. Also, Dr. Suronen's experiences and achievement include being a principal scientist at the Natural Resources Institute of Finland since 2021. Also program director, Blue Bioeconomy at Natural Resources Institute of Finland from 2017 until 2020. And also he was fisheries expert at FAO from 2009 and 2017. And the last, he was research director, professor in fisheries research at FinFish Game and Fisheries Research Institute from 1996 to 2009. To shorten the time, I invite Dr. Petri Suronen to deliver your presentation entitled Challenges in the Development of Green Fishing Technology and Practices. Dr. Suronen, time is yours for 30 minutes. Please, Dr. Suronen.
Thank you. Now I have to first tell that I have not used Zoom earlier, so I need to practice a little bit. Yeah. Anyhow, it was so nice that you invited me to this symposium, and I actually would love to be there in Indonesia. It's not so easy to speak from here. Now I wonder how I can't.
Not yet, yeah.
Yeah. I need to look that I have it on the screen. Yes, it should be there. Little struggle this is. Let's see. Do you see my presentation?
Not yet. I think you have to start to share screen.
Okay, then I have to go back. We did some practice this morning, but
we understand that because in Finland, you never use Zoom, yeah?
No, never. We are not allowed to use it. Yeah. Now I need to understand. How do I get back to
you? Yes. Yeah. I see your presentation. It's okay.
You see my presentation. I try to put it on the presentation slideshow mode.
Okay.
Do you see it now?
Yes.
And do you see my picture, my face also, or only the presentation?
Presentation and not your picture, but your name.
Okay. Yeah. That's enough. I think you don't need to see me when I speak, right? Yes. Okay. But my title is that I will try to tell you something about challenges in the development of green fishing technology or sustainable fishing technologies and practices. You all know that this is a big topic. It includes so many elements that I will focus on few issues. And I'm coming from Finland. I just make who is Petri. I really have been most of my time working on fisheries development and how to make fisheries more sustainable and more profitable. And I have done a lot of work also on the impact of fishing on ecosystems, but my key interest has been how to make fishing an economic and profitable livelihood, while at the same time trying to keep it sustainable. And I have been working in Europe, I have been working in FAO, and I visited several times also Indonesia. When I was in FAO, I had some projects in Southeast Asia. So I have been in Indonesia, many places, Jakarta, Ambon, Sorong, Bali, Raja Ampat, etc. So I have some understanding of your fisheries. And I understand this symposium is also about the COVID impacts. And I understand it has been a very hard hit in many countries. And also in Finland. When it came, there was a dramatic drop of fresh fish sold on fish markets. Actually, all fish markets had to stop because people didn't want to buy fresh fish. People were afraid that fresh fish may have some viruses and etc. And almost all restaurants were closed, so there were no possibilities to go and eat outside. So what happens is that the people start to buy fish and cook them home, also lunchtime. But they also only bought well-packaged fish and frozen fish. The fresh fish market kind of collapsed almost. And then people start to want to have local produce, local food, local fish. Near where they live, they want to buy fish if they want to have a fresh fish. And many fishermen start to market their catch directly from the harbor, and it became a very big business for many fishermen. And we are now in the situation we are almost back in normal now, and next year probably we are back in normal. But many of these changes actually will stay. So we will not go back where we were. We will have a little bit different fisheries. But we can come back. This is my only slide of the COVID. Now I ask, do you hear me clearly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and you see the whole screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see the virus, you see the fisherman. Yes, operating. Yes.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah, and as I told you, I've been working in Southeast Asia, and one area where I have worked is the troll fishing. How to make the Southeast Asian troll fishery sustainable. And I published last year one paper, which is you can see here in Reviews in Fisheries Science. And in this document, I have 6 countries from Southeast Asia, and I tried to put my knowledge how to make the troll fishing, shrimp troll fishing or bottom troll fishing more sustainable. And if anyone would like to have a PDF of this paper, please send me an email, which I will show at the end of and I will send the paper if you are interested. But of course, troll fishing is just one fishery, and in Indonesia, I think you have a trolling ban. I don't think it's complete, but you try to actually limit troll fishing more than Thailand and Vietnam and many other countries. And it's quite interesting issue because, of course, when I visited Sorong, I saw a lot of shrimp factories closed because there were no raw material coming. And I saw that trawlers were standing still, and a lot of people lost their livelihood. So I was thinking that you should maybe try to find solutions that you can also catch shrimp. And when it comes to Indonesia, I think you are the third largest country in the world at the moment in marine whitefish catch. Only China and Peru is before you. And in some years you have been the second largest, because in Peru the anchovies, it depends on the anchovies if they have big catches. So we can say that you are a huge fishing nation. More than 6 million people are directly engaged in fisheries sector, and your waters are very productive and also very sensitive. But as far as I can see, you have a huge potential to develop your fisheries and take more value of your fisheries. And we can come back to this, because value is also an important issue to consider. In FAO, I was doing all kind of things, and I just want to show you that we make a report of the fishing gears, how different fishing gears operates, and what are the kind of characteristics. And if you probably have seen that, but if somebody is interested, please send me an email and I send you a copy. And I also make during my FAO years a paper which we call low impact and full efficient fishing, live fishing. And I know that in Indonesia you are aware of this concept. And I will speak a little bit later more about this approach. And okay, again, if somebody is interested of the paper, I can send PDF. Then I was in FAO involved in the discard assessment, global discards, and you may know that FAO has done it 3 times. The first one came in 1994, the second 2005, and the last one 2019. And it showed that the global discards were about 9 million tons, which is about 10–11% of the total catches. The discards have reduced maybe quite significantly during the last 30 years. And of course, the main reason is that we are utilizing more species now. The utilization of those species which were discarded earlier are now utilized. And of course, fisheries management has also improved. Also, this paper is in the web available. Now, I would like to say a few words about this value of fish. This is an example from the Baltic Sea of herring. We had the value of herring, 1 ton of herring had the value of 2,080 euros, which is about $300 US dollars. And we start to look at why we have so low value. How can we take more value of the fish? And we start to look all the components, the oil, proteins, meat, side streams, skin, scales, bones. And we start to calculate that if we could utilize everything, the value per ton would be about 6,000 euro. That's the potential product value. And now we have several projects with private companies where we are working with this because it's a valuable material which was earlier wasted. Most of the side stream were wasted. It was something like 30–70% of the fish was just wasted when you use the fillet. So this is one area which I think is important to keep in mind, that with the same amount of fishing, you can increase the total value a lot and still be sustainable. This is just some examples about the products, like this fish oil and omega and all kind of nutritional supplements. And people are really interested to buy these things. People are aware that this can be healthy components. So this is something I encourage you also to do in Indonesia. Do more work on side streams and have less waste, more value. But The actual topic today, what I would like to speak with you is the challenge in marine capture fisheries. You all know that the condition for fishing, commercial fishing, will change in the coming years. We have a climate change, which is causing change in resource distribution and abundance. We will have a new species, and some species we lose. They go on somewhere else, and the human population is still growing, and the demand for fish products is increasing. So we have to become much smarter how we catch, because we have limited resources, and we have to feed more people. So this is the issue where we are. At the same time, we have to reduce the use of fossil fuels. We have to find another energy sources and way of fishing. And we have to be more ready to the future pandemics, because this corona took us all by surprise. But we have to understand there can be more and even worse, and we have to be better prepared. And at least most of the world is really getting stricter with sustainability of fisheries. In many areas now, the products have to be, you have to be able to show that the products you are selling are sustainable. There is certification is expanding all the time. For instance, in Germany and United States, it's difficult to sell fish if it's not certified. And this is probably coming all over the world, little by little. So this is the kind of base starting point. We have a lot of challenges. We have to do better. And if you look at the picture on the down on right side, you see how the fish stocks are estimated to change. The more red, the bigger are the changes. And you see that Indonesia is partly in the area where you will see changes coming with the climate change. But of course, the polar areas are even more sensitive. And when we think about fishing, we have to also understand how different fisheries are. Even inside Indonesia, there is huge amount of different fisheries, fishing vessel types, and so it's a huge mosaic. This is just an example of few fisheries. And the same applies to fishing practice, fishing gears. There are thousands of different fisheries. So we have a really complicated structure. We cannot manage this all in the same way. We have to tailor our management and our approach to each fisheries. And if you look at Finland, this is winter fishing in Finland. As you can see, we have ice. The fishing have to be done under ice. But your gear have to be modified that you can operate them under ice. But this is just an example how different condition fisheries operates in the world. Of course, this is extreme. We are so north that we really have ice into our lakes and our sea in winter time. And the ice can be 1 meter, but we still have to catch the fish. So I promised to say a few words about what is sustainable fishing. And I think there are a lot of definitions, but we have to be pragmatic. And I think these four bullets shows maybe the key points. First of all, the fishing effort or fishing pressure have to be at the level that keeps the fish population productive and healthy. That means that you don't overfish too much at least. So that's fishing effort, fishing pressure is number one. But also the fishing activities have to be managed so that other species and habitats remain healthy. So the fishing should not cause too much damage to other species and habitats. And that's one issue with bottom troll fishing. It's in the core of bottom troll discussion. How much it's damaging the seabed ecosystems and other species, bycatch species. The fisheries have to comply with the relevant rules and laws. in the country. It's really a core issue, and it means that you have to have a system in place how you follow the fisheries and the catches and operation. And fisheries also have to be able to adapt to changing condition. The condition will change all the time. And I think the socioeconomic issues are also important. You have to have fishing have to be able to make their livelihood from fishing. If they are not able to do it, they will start to do illegal operation. And there is no hope to have sustainable fisheries if you have illegal fisheries. You know that we speak about IUU fishing. And I think this is also important. So that you have to have the fishermen on board to speak about the rules, and you have to have a system in place to follow. And then we come to this issue. We have to, in the future, produce more seafood, and we have to reduce the footprint ecosystem at the same time. So we have to make changes in how we fish, how we operate fishing gears, where we operate and how. I would say that all fishing methods have some effect on the environment. Some fishing gears have worse than others. But it is also important to understand that where, when and how the gear is being operated has huge impact on the impacts. So it's not only the fishing gear. I don't want to say that bottom troll is a bad gear. It becomes so bad if you operate in the wrong place, wrong time, and in the wrong way. But you can have allocated fishing grounds where troll fishing should be allowed, because they already changed the ecosystem. But this is of course a discussion in Indonesia. I think quite difficult to discuss. And of course, the amount of fishing is important. Whatever fishing gear you use, if you use too much, it's not good. So my message is that we have to become smarter how we utilize our limited marine resources. It's a key issue. We have to have less waste and less damage also. Do I speak slowly or too fast? Is this understandable what I say? What? Did somebody?
Yeah, I think it's still understand. We can still understand. Yeah.
It's not too fast.
No.
Okay. Okay. As I said, all fishing gears and fishing practice has some impact. And actually, when we rank fishing gears, we say that some fishing gears are bad, some are good. It's not that simple. We can say that passive fishing gears like bots have less impact on seabed than bottom trawling. We can say that so roughly. But we can also say that each gear may rank high for one type of impact, may have lower rank for another type of impact. So we have to be very careful when we say that this is a bad fishing gear, this is a good fishing gear. All depends. And also how it operates is so important. So that this is area where fishermen need guidance also. The full utilization, you know that fishing is using a lot of fuel. I know that in Indonesia you have a lot of kind of small scale fishery. Most of the Indonesian fishery is a small scale, but still a lot of fossil fuel is utilized in fisheries. Of course, the troll fishing is the extreme and long distance, long line fishery. They use a lot of fuel to catch fish. But there is some kind of basic differences, like the passive fishing gears. You need 1.1 to 1.4 liters to catch 1 kilo of fish. Whereas if you use bottom troll, you need 4-5 times more. to catch 1 kilo. Then there are mid-water trawls and purseine, which are very, very fuel-efficient fishing gears. So we have to also realize that because this fossil fuel is becoming in the future probably more expensive, and we want to move to other energy sources, but it will take a lot of time before we can replace diesel engines with something else. We are doing experiments now here in Finland on electric fishing vessel, but I think it's still way to go. So you probably all know that it's not just the fuel efficiency, but it's also the carbon emission. It's becoming an issue everywhere with the climate change. Also fishing sector have to be able to reduce the emission in the future. It will be part of certification in the future. But again, it's not so easy actually to rank the gears with the emission. Do we count it per unit weight of catch or unit value of the catch? That kind of question are important also. But again, demersal trawl fishery and offshore longline have the highest carbon emission, and pot fishing and trap net fishing have the smallest, and purseine fishing also. But it's also important to understand that poorly managed fisheries usually lead higher emission and higher food consumption, because you have less fish and you have to catch, you stay more at sea, more time at sea to get the catch. So to better stay health conditions the stocks are, the less you need to be at sea. You will catch enough. So it's also the point. And this low impact fuel efficient fishing, which we developed when I was in FAO, it has kind of two elements. The fishing should use minimal possible amount of fuel, fossil fuel, and have a minimal impact on the environment. It's kind of life fishing. And this concept we use quite many places. And the whole my presentation is actually now to focusing on how to minimize the impact on the environment while keeping the fishery profitable at the same time. And one area is bycatch. There are different bycatches. You can imagine in different parts of the world the bycatch looks very different, but the bycatches can be enormous in some fisheries. And I know best the trawl fishing, and there are hundreds of different methods developed to improve the selectivity, to keep the sea turtles out, or dolphins purposes out, or predator fish out, and catch only the target species. You probably know many of these. These are available on everywhere. But maybe the critical issue are the protected species. In the future, I don't think you can market any fish if it's known that in that fisheries you are killing protected species. So maybe this is the key area that we reduce the damage to these protected species. We minimize the bycatch and mortality of protected species, sharks, turtles, birds, etc., whales. And I think in the future this is coming a key issue, at least in Europe and United States. If the fishery is known to have a bycatch of sharks or whales, the fishery is out of business in no time. And I think this is a global trend, and it will be also in Indonesia. I have a video, I don't know if we can see it. This is just to show the turtle. It's inside the trawl now, and usually they die because they cannot swim out. Once they go into the trawl, they just they just die, and it has been a major issue in the United States and many other countries. And they developed this turtle excluder, and it's now compulsory in many fisheries, and you see that it works. The turtle can go back to the sea, and the fishing can continue. This is a typical solution, simple solution that works fairly well. And usually when you develop this kind of measures or technologies, you have to understand the behavior of species, different species. You have to understand how the species which you want to get out alive behave, and you also have to understand how the target species behave in order, because you want to minimize the losses of the target species. Actually, fishermen hate to lose any of those. So we have to be very, very good when we develop this kind of selective fishing solution. But there are a lot of, I would say there are thousands of different solutions only in troll fishery. And of course many other fisheries also. And the more species you have, the more challenges you have to develop this kind of things. But this is a big area of research all over the world, and I have been involved in this myself too. But I want to show developing selective may bring some surprise. This is a selective troll, but look who is coming. So the dolphins have learned to eat those species that escape from the escape hole. So it's actually become a feeding machine for dolphins. So when we develop selective fishing, we also have to remember that at sea we have a lot of other species, and many species know that fishing gears are the place where you can eat. So I don't know if this makes sense to have a selective fishing and then dolphins eating those fish species you want to save. But it's kind of all kind of possibilities. Recently, in many fishing, not only in troll fishing, the scientists have used artificial lights because this LED light is now so cheap and easy to use underwater. And this has become a quite big area of research. And it can be utilized in trap nets, bots, whatever, trolls, these underwater lights. And we have done some experiments also in Finland. And it's quite an interesting area. I just want to remind you that all kind of things may work, also sound, taste. I have been involved on this bottom troll issue quite a long time, and all over the world. And one thing that people usually don't understand, that bottom trolling is highly concentrated. It's not taking all over. They also usually go in same tracks. So they go day by day to the same area. Most of the areas are untrolled. So we have to be careful when we say that this area is destroyed by trawlers. It may be, but it may not. It depends how they concentrate the fishing. But anyway, where the trawling takes place, it is clear it has negative effect on seabed life. And this impacts varies a lot depending which kind of trawl you use and what kind of seabed you have. Of course, the stronger the effects you have in environments where you have corals and biogenic habitats. But if you're trawling in the sand bottom, you may not have much any impact. And now I have to say you that most of the information comes from Europe, United States, Australia. And we have very little information from tropical shrimp fish troll fishing. That we don't know actually how much tropical troll fishing, for instance in Indonesia, has changed the seabed ecosystems. And we should actually have better knowledge. Here are some papers. I have been part of the international working group a few years now, and we have published some 10 10 papers on bottom throw footprints and how to reduce the footprints. And if you are interested about these details, I can send any paper you want. And one thing is important is the weight. The more weight you put on the trawl, on the seabed, the more damage you do. That's one kind of simple. So it means the lighter you can go, the less damage you do. And also the species composition at the seabed, it has a huge difference how long it takes to recover. Many species recover in a few months, but then there are some species, they may take more than 10 years to recover after the trawl passage. So it's also important just to keep in mind. So my message in trawling is that we need to manage where, when, and how much is done trawling. There are impacts, but you can manage those impacts. There is no universal best practice. You have to choose the management on the basis of local conditions. Like if we go Arafura Sea, it's quite different if you go to Baltic Sea. Quite different type of systems to manage the fisheries. But you can always modify the gear to reduce the impact. You can always close the most sensitive location, not let trawling in the most sensitive location. Instead, they should go those areas where the seabed is not sensitive, but is a lot of shrimp. And you have to also try to keep the fishing efficient, because that reduces the time you need to fish. So it's much better to be efficient and quick, instead of having low efficiency and make a huge trawling every day, 10 hours tows. Much better to one tow, 1 hour and come back and have a good catch. And of course, trawling is, if you speak about trawling, it's the one where you really have to have a control of total fishing effort. You need to manage the capacity of the number of trawlers and their capacity and how much they are allowed to fish. And there are a lot of technologies these days to monitor the fishing operation. This is just a few. You can have all kinds of technologies, and you can also monitor with satellites where the trawlers are, how long they are towing. So this modern technology brings a lot of tools to control, to have a better controls. Also in Europe, we are now having cameras on trawlers, and we can switch the camera in the control room and look what is coming, how long they are fishing and what is the catch, how much bycatch. Fishermen don't like to have these cameras, but I don't think we need to ask. If you want to fish, you have to be transparent and show what are you doing. Then one area where we work is, for instance, in some areas we have a feeling that it would be better to stop trawl fishing or some other fishing and change the fishing practice to more sustainable fishing. And we have done a lot of work on how much is possible, for instance, to have, instead to have gillnet fishery, to have pot fishery, because gillnet fishery has a lot of bycatches and other problems, and I have been involved on this kind of work. In this 2012 paper, Live Fishing, we actually had this kind of table where we look different fish capture, way, bottom trawling, and what are the advantage, disadvantage, and priority actions. And if you want, I'm not going to read this now, but if you are interested to see it, just send me a message and I will send the paper to you. And now I will just show you a few examples of pot fishing. There are many kinds of pots around the world, but what is important is that in many areas the pot fishing is getting more common and gillnet fisheries is reducing, because gillnet fishery has so much problems which pot fishery don't have. So there is intensive development all around the world. to develop more efficient pot fishing for all kinds of species. And you know, pots are easy to transport if they are collapsed. So they have very low energy use, very low seabed impact. They can have a high catch quality. You can catch fish alive, and you can release the bycatch alive. But the problem with pot fishery is the efficiency. It is not so efficient. Many fish don't go into pots, in traditional pots. And for instance, we have tried to develop the pot for cod, Atlantic cod. Oh, sorry, I have to go back. I was trying to push this. You see the cod are now coming to how slow they come. But this is a funnel that works. And it took a long time to develop a funnel where actually cod accepted. Small details really count. Because it was many years we could see that cod were just going around the pot but never entered in. So it's so critical that the funnel is in the right way, in the right direction. And you can still see that there are a lot of pots not coming in. But this just shows that when you develop pot fishery, you have to know the behavior. You have to study the behavior of the species with cameras and whatever you can utilize to develop. And I show this one, also the impact of bait. Now the black one is a bait. And now you see what happens. How bait attracts the fish. This pot would have no catch without the bait. You see the funnel is a little bit different. But those kind of things, you can use baits and many other things to develop. And of course, you can use light, you can use different chemicals and things like that. There is many ways you can develop this kind of pot fishery. But it's not for all species, but much more than we think. And the behavior is the key. This is a Baltic trap net. We are catching in the Baltic Sea with this kind of trap nets. We call it pontoon trap. When we take the catch, we take it up with the air pressure. And when it goes back to sea, we just leave the air out of the pontoons, which are below. And this has become very, very popular. And some fishermen has a kind of antenna, and they can see, there is a little video camera, when they are home, is their catch in the trap. And they go only when they see that there is a catch. So they don't have to travel to the trap net just to check. They know already when they go that there is catch. So you can develop all kind of things with traps and bots. But when it comes to changing fishing gear, it is quite obvious that fishermen are not so eager to change. They would like to continue what they know and they have done. It's very difficult to change the way they want catch. They are very skeptical about the alternative fishing gears, and it takes a lot of time to test the new one and show that it is a potential. And of course, in many fisheries, the profit margins are so small that they cannot lose any fish, any catch, because the economy is so poor. So the scientists have to develop this system so good that it's convincing that it's better. So it's important that the change makes sense for fishers. That's the key point. They won't accept the new one if it doesn't make sense, and it's quite obvious. One area which is becoming very important is this marine litter, and fisheries is one source of marine litter, and you all have heard about abandoned, lost and discarded fishing gear issues. It's not so big part of the marine litter, plastic litter, but it's the most dangerous component, because all kind of animals get kind of tangled in this fish and turtles and seabirds. So it's a lot of attention. I know also in Indonesia you have a lot of discussion about this issue. We just published this year with Eric Gilman a paper which is in the Scientific Reports Journal, and I can send this. And we look which are the most dangerous fishing gears. And it's quite obvious that gill nets and trammel nets are the most dangerous gear if they are lost. And also the fats, you know what is fats, are quite dangerous, bottom trawls. And the least dangerous are hand threads and demersal longline beach chainies. So different fishing gear have a different risk score. But I don't go any more details. If somebody's interested, please send me email and I send the paper and more information. But anyhow, the message is that we can also, by changing the fishing gear, have an impact on this issue. I don't know, but I think you called these fats rumbons in Indonesia. I don't know how you pronounce rumbons, but I think that's the Indonesian word. And here you can see in the picture one rumbon. And you may know they come in all shapes and sizes, and fishermen like to use them because they attract fish. You get better catches. But the problem is they lose them often, and they go floating all over, and there is a lot of marine litter coming from these fats. And there are many reasons for the causes. Often the storms just rip them, and they get too old and they degrade. But also other fishermen may do some things with them, and fishing vessels. And one thing we know that they are very poorly marked often, that nobody knows who is the owner and things like that. So there's a lot of things we can do to improve the management of fats. Now I'm coming near to the end of my presentation. So sustainable fishing depends on sustainable ecosystem. It's quite obvious. If we ruin our ecosystem, we won't have any fishing. And fishing is an affect ecosystem and is a threat. So we need to be able to control the fishing effort, control the bycatch, the vulnerable species and habitats, coast fishing and IUU fishing. We have to have in our management roadmap all these elements, how we control. And we can improve issues with fishermen. We need to change how they behave, how they think, how they act, and it's possible. I think we are doing good progress in Europe in many of these issues, but we still have a way to go. But it's possible to collaborate with fishing sector to improve things. And what is important, fisheries management really is important and useful. If your stocks are healthy, your catch per unit effort is bigger, you have higher profitability in your fisheries, you have less problems, damage with the ecosystems, and you have less user conflicts. I know in Indonesia, different fisheries have a lot of conflicts. There may be even shootings. So it's the fisheries management, effective fisheries management is one of the key. You have to have some system in place. It can be government run, but it can also be fisheries run. Fishermen self-manage their fisheries. And that's one area which I would like to collaborate with Indonesia more. Because when I was in Indonesia, I actually learned that Indonesian fishermen are really willing to manage their fisheries well. That was my impression on all these workshops I attended. And of course, the marine ecosystem that's the factory of fishing sector. If they destroy their factory, they have nothing. So they have to maintain their factory in good shape. That's the key point. And I have this kind of 10 points how the fisheries should look like in the future. These energy-hungry and wasteful practices have to be displaced with better practices. There have to be less collateral damage to ecosystem and bycatch. There have to be less carbon, less food used, and we have to use these new energy sources. And we have to become better to find fish and attract fish. We probably will also in the future land more fish alive. It's possible, like they do in Japan. A lot of fish actually are landed alive in good quality. The certification will be more common. We will start to utilize low trophic organisms. Well, you are already doing in Indonesia, you have a seaweed and everything. But I think we will go much further in this lower trophic organism. Animal welfare issue are increasingly, you cannot cause pain or stress to fish in the future. You have to be able to show that they are happy fish even when they captured. It cannot be like a painful for fish. And all the technologies, they have to meet wider sustainable criteria in the future. And the fishing industry should become caretaker of marine environment instead of something else. Like now many people think that fishing sector is mainly damaging marine ecosystem. The image has to completely change the other way around. The image should be that the fishing industry, fishing sector is the caretaker. And we need to look at the technology in a new way to help to minimize the impacts of catching fish. We have to look in a different point of view everything. This is, by the way, a herring per se. And this is my last slide. This is the evidence that I really visited Rajambat in 2016. Thank you. And there you can see my email address. I'm happy to respond by email to you if you want to have my papers or any comment. So just send me an email. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Soronen, your interesting presentation. Yeah, you have passed 5 minutes, but I think it's okay because it's interesting, your presentation. Hopefully you stay, stay with us until Dr. Ru Angeli and her presentation, and after that we enter the discussion. Yeah? So we move to the second speakers. I invite Dr. Ru Angeli Edrada Abel. You are here now. Okay.
Yes.
So I will briefly introduce the CV of Dr. Ru Angeli Edrada Abel. Dr. Ru Angeli Edrada Abel from University of Strathclyde in Scotland. She holds a doctorate in pharmaceutical biology from Julius Maximilian Universität Würzburg, Germany, as well as a postdoctorate fellowship in the Department of Chemistry at the University of California, Santa Cruz. Dr. Ru Angeli expertise is in the field of natural products, isolation, and structure elucidation with modern spectroscopic techniques. Dr. Angeli experiences and achievement include being an associate professor at the Strathclyde Institute of Pharmacy and Biomedical Sciences, University of Strathclyde, as well as head of the Natural Product Metabolomic Group at Strathclyde Institute of Pharmacy and Biomedical Sciences. And Dr. Angeli has been awarded the Planta Medical Most Innovative Papers in 2017 and is also the author of the more than 140 publications and has received 4 patents on marine natural products. To short the time, I invite you, Dr. Ru Angeli. Time is yours to deliver your presentation for 30 minutes. If you pass certain minutes, it's okay. Yeah. Please, Dr. Angeli.
Okay, thank you, Professor Bengen, for the kind introduction. Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay. All right. So first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizing committee, particularly Dr. Christy Tarman, for inviting me to deliver our research in this 5th EMBRIO International Symposium. So on your program, the title of my presentation is Use of Marine Natural Products to Increase Immunity. So my talk, in relevant to this topic, is about the use of a metabolomics approach in identifying marine-derived natural products as potential drugs against RNA viruses and other infections. If you use the keywords marine natural products and COVID, so you're going to get in a literature search or in Google, so you're going to get a lot of hits, but the major hits that you're going to get is molecular dynamic studies or in silico studies of marine natural products on the SARS coronavirus proteinase. Okay, so as example here, we've got phystolurin 3. This has been isolated from the sponge Aplycina. And here we've got 2 alkyl chain type of compounds that have been isolated from a soft coral. And here, 2 examples of other sponge metabolites from the sponge Petrosia. So it has been postulated that these compounds were able to feed certain receptors within the SARS coronavirus. Here are another set of examples. We've got fluorotannins from sargassum seaweeds, and we're also postulated by molecular docking to fit the coronavirus protein crystal structure. However, our research doesn't deal with molecular dynamic studies or in silico studies using molecular docking. So we've got a different approach. So we use metabolomics as a tool for drug discovery. In the literature, this is coined as natural products metabolomics or secondary metabolomics. So how do we do this? So we embed macros with natural products databases to enable us to do rapid replication studies. And by using multivariate analysis softwares, we are able to investigate patterns in our data. And our main objectives are the following: to use it as a selection tool, to find out what is the best strains in terms of plants and microbials. And that will help us determine chemical novelties in these different strains. We also use it to select or optimize our process conditions, which means we are able to integrate our metabolomic data with process variable data. And this is just to link chemistry with fermentation, for example. So a more common activity in our research is to investigate bioactivity. And these, using metabolomics, we're able to compare chemical profiles of bioactive and inactive extracts, which means we get a targeted isolation work of just dealing with the bioactives. And lastly, we work with molecular biologists to integrate our genomic data with metabolomics, and this would be able to confirm the expression of biosynthetic gene clusters. And during the scale up, we could investigate these biosynthetic pathways, and we could also do further synthetic or biosynthetic gene engineering. So the main challenge in metabolomics research, as everyone knows who's working in this field, is that our main aim is to get new compounds, new bioactivity for 100% novelty, or get known compounds, but with new bioactivity and 50% novelty. In both of these cases, our results are publishable. Or then if you're working with an industry, then you get better patents as well. A third scenario is you get new compounds, no bioactivity, is still considered to 50% novelty. It could still be published, publishable if you've got interesting chemistry. However, we don't want to end up in this fourth scenario where we've got known compounds and known bioactivity, where there is no novelty at all. And that's the reason why we shifted to using a metabolomic approach. So we are only going to get in these two cases or two scenarios as part of our challenge. So just a brief a brief introduction to my group. So we are part of a multidisciplinary consortium. We have partners, organizations from across Europe. So for example, in case of sampling and collection of our materials, we do work together with Iceland as well as with a Greek partner. So natural product chemistry is mostly done in my laboratory. Genetics is done together with a University of Norway. Bioactivity testing, we do collaborate with in the industry or small medium enterprises like those in Norway. So we have here Pharmac, and Italy, we've got the company Axem. So genomics or molecular biology, we closely collaborate with universities in Germany like Würzburg and Kiel. And industrial bioprocessing, we have a close collaboration with Scottish small medium enterprises or industry, as well as in Iceland. So this is our research and technological development workflow. We start with isolation and culturing our bacteria or fungi. It goes into extraction, and preliminary extraction is done by solvent partitioning. So the extracts are analyzed using mass spectrometry and NMR, and parallel to this metabolomic analysis, genome mining data is done by our partners, particularly the molecular biology group, as well as pharmacology, doing the bioassay screening. So I mentioned that we're using two analytical platforms, and we're just doing or getting the advantages of both platforms. So we use mass spectrometry and NMR spectroscopy. When it comes to NMR spectroscopy, you are able to see higher concentration of the compounds, okay? But that is only at the concentration of microgram per mil, which means the great disadvantage of NMR is that if you've got a low yielding potent compounds, we are not able to detect that by NMR. The great advantage of working with NMR is that it's reproducible. It's not dependent on any ionizability of the compounds, and sample preparation is generic. So for example, our universal solvent that we're using is deuterated dimethyl sulfoxide, which could dissolve both polar and non-polar samples. When it comes to mass spectrometry, great advantage is that we are able to see low concentration compounds even down to picogram level, as long as the compounds are ionizable in the technique we are using. The disadvantage is that mass spectrometry is highly dependent on calibration, as well as the sample preparation is quite focused. So what do I mean by this? If you're working with polar components, then you deal with electrospray ionization, so the solvent you're using should only be polar, while non-polar components could only be worked on, for example, non-polar solvent as well, and the method of choice will be GCMS. So our metabolomics workflow, we always start with mass spectrometry because we are dealing with untargeted metabolomics, which means we would like to see all the compounds we're dealing with. So we do use the switch mode, positive and negative ionization. Then the data is processed, so we use MSetMine2, but there are also other software available on the web that's considered to be free. And the reason for these data processing is to do peak picking, the convolution, the isotoping, chromatographic alignment, and finally, formula prediction. So formula prediction is a prerequisite for our dereplication study. So for the replication, we use an in-house macro wherein we are able to embed commercial databases like Antimarine or Dictionary of Natural Products, as well as GNPS. And then once we've got the process data, this is moved over or subjected to multivariate analysis, where we are able to define trends and target our bioactive components. And once we've defined novel or target components, we go back to structure search, okay, to do a similarity search on our structure, and finally to a full elucidation of these bioactive compounds. So for today's talk, I have two application projects to present. So the first one is on human health. It is a metabolomic profiling of anti-biofilm compounds from Dendrophila salina. It's a endophytic fungi derived from a Scottish seaweed, Laminaria hypoborea. And the second project is optimizing the production of fish antiparasitics from Algoriphagus marine cola. So the second application project is on fish health. So the first project is is a search for new antibiofilm compounds. So this is an endophytic fungi that was derived from the Scottish seaweed Laminaria hyperborea, which was collected on the west coast of Scotland. So this is the west coast, and it's quite beautiful. So here we've got the Culzean Castle. And here is Laminaria hyperborea. And here is a picture or photograph of the fungi Dendrophila salina. So this work is in collaboration with an industrial partner, Marine Biopolymers. So that's a Scottish SME. And Dr. Saif Jaber is a Jordanian student of mine who did this project. So why bacterial biofilm? So we do believe that eradication of these bacterial biofilm will help protect our immunity as well, particularly in the increasing multi-resistance or the occurrence of multi-resistance bacteria. So bacterial biofilms can make us very sick. So particularly in the COVID situation, so lung infection could occur, for example, in ventilators, and we get the complication of cystic fibrosis in the presence of bacterial biofilm. So this could also occur in other hospital apparatus like breast implant, venous catheter, and so on. So there are a lot of examples where bacterial biofilms has caused complications in the hospitals. So Saif was optimizing the production of these anti-biofilm compounds from the fungal endophyte. So here, he was able to try different type of media. So we grouped them into two types. So here we've got the liquid media and the solid media. So for the liquid media, he used malt, Vickers ham, and marine broth. And for the solid media, he used rice and oat. As you would see, 90% biofilm inhibition is our bioactivity threshold, and that was attained using malt media and oat media. So Saif decided to do a further scale up on malt and oat. So using a multivariate analysis, this is the metabolomics approach, we were able to determine the chemical diversity of the different extract obtained from these different or various media. So here is a principal component analysis scores plot, and we could see a unique chemistry from the bioactive oat or bioactive extract obtained from the oat media under 30 days of incubation. Marine broth is also interesting. It was also showing some uniqueness or chemical diversity. However, when doing the OPLSTA, so that is the orthogonal projection to latent structure discriminant analysis, we are able to group the extract between inactive and active. So the marine broth is considered to be an inactive extract, and here we've got the oat and the malt that were incubated for 30 days. And relatively, malt has also like this chemical diversity that was being visualized in this plot. So first, Saif tried to do a scale up on the malt extract broth media with sea salt. And here is the result of the planktonic assay. He was able to observe 90% inhibition in fraction 2, fraction 4, and fraction 6. So what is being shown here is the percent biofilm viability. Okay, so which means if you get the difference to get the inhibition in this case will be even greater than 90%. Looking at the scores plot, we could still see that fractions 5 and 6 offers the most chemical diversity. And here is the loadings plot. The way to read this, it tells us compounds that belongs to the same quadrant representing the samples. So in this case, in this part of the quadrant, these are the compounds responsible for the bioactivity or the discriminating chemical compounds for fraction 5 and 6. So SAFE targeted the compound with a molecular weight of 184. Regarding these compounds here, they were quite low yielding that SAFE were not able to isolate them. So doing the replication study on these molecular weight, so from the Dictionary of Natural Products, he was able to get these compounds, and they are fungal metabolites, asparlactone, aspirone, and decumbenic acid. In our case, 184 is quite unstable. So during the isolation work, oxidation was occurring, and we're getting the acid derivative. And this compound was not found in the original extract or fraction. So upon purification, we are getting this type of compound. On the scale of the old solid media, so we could see that the most active from the planktonic assay was fraction 3, fraction 5, and fraction 10. SAFE chose to work further on fraction 3 and 10 because fraction 5 has a very low yield. So it was not possible to do further isolation work on fraction 5. So here's the scores plot, and fraction 5 was quite unique in terms of its chemistry. And doing a replication study, we found out that this unique feature was due to this compound hydroxyethyl linearamide, which was not found in any of the other fractions. So SAFE continued to target these compounds here, and he was able to isolate the active antibiofilm compounds, acetonide, linoate congener, and here he has a glycolipid and a peptide, tuinaganolide A. To validate the study, okay, so here is the results of the antibiofilm activity. So tuinaganolide A and gingerlipid was the most potent. So this is in micromolar concentration. So it's still double the positive control of the gentamicin. However, among the compounds that was isolated, these ones coming from the oat media were the most active. SAFE were also able to isolate those inactive compounds from those active fractions, linoleic acid and a glycerol derivative of linoleic acid, and they were found to be inactive. To validate this, again, using OPL-SDA, okay, we can find that the active compounds were present in the active fractions. So for example, here in the malt extract, we have here F1, F2, F3, F4, and they contain this compound, which is orsolinic acid, and this other orsolinic congener was found in F6 with a very good p-value. However, here linoleic acid was found on the inactive quadrant, which was also present in fraction 3. When it comes to the oat media, so this glycerol linoleic was found inactive, and it was validated to be present as well in the inactive quadrant of the OPL-SDA plot. However, these compound here, the acetonide, the glycolipid, and the peptide were all found in the active quadrant. What is controversial here is turnagainolide A, represented by this bar graph here. So as you would see, the p-value was not really significant in comparison to those found in or generated activity from the glycolipid. And the reason behind that was that turnagainolide A exhibited a very good MIC. However, the platonic assay was not as good as the glycolipid. I think that was causing the poor p-value for turnagainolide A. So let's go to the second project, and this is about fish health, which I think is more related to IPB. So here we did a metabolomic guided isolation of a fish antiparasitic isobranch alpha and beta hydroxyfatty acids from a geothermal intertidal bacteria. So this was a work done together by industrial partners in Iceland, Mattis, as well as Norway Pharma. And this was done by PhD student, Dr. Sanchez or Dr. Bella Sanchez. So why fish health? Well, the significance of fish health in our EU project is very high in terms of the salmon industry. So as you would see by this graph, so there is already an increasing sales value of the salmon market worldwide compared from 2009 to now to 2018. And regarding the production of Atlantic salmon, there is also a significant increase from 2000 and to the present 2021. So this vast increase also push us to work or keep us busy on looking into the fish health on the salmons. So we isolated these compounds from Algoriphagus marincula. So this was actually derived from the or collected from a geothermal intertidal environment in Iceland. So our main challenge here, so this bacteria was coming from Iceland. So they did a single colony inoculation on agar plate, and it was active against the sea lice that was parasitic on the salmon. So here we've got a happy salmon. So we did the scale up for them. So we used our glycerol stock that came up from the marine agar plate delivered from Iceland. We did a 10% inoculum, and on the 7th day, we lose the bioactivity. So what was happening here? So that was the main problem that we've got to solve. So what Bella did, so she had a brilliant idea. So she did a metabolomic analysis or multivariate analysis. So here you find the original extract. So this one here is her 10% inoculum from day 1 to day 7. And he also did a scale up using single colony from day 1 to day 7. So he did an extractions of all those individual days to be able to compare it with the original extract. In any case, we could see that there were different types of metabolites being produced from the 10% inoculum and the single colony, and activity was being lost on the 7th day. So upon doing this multivariate analysis, Bella was able to conclude that the original extract was actually comparable to the extracts being produced at day 5, both for the 10% inoculum and the single colony. The only great advantage is that the 10% inoculum was giving her a higher yield or a higher biomass. And indeed, so she did a further scale up and ended the procedure on the 5th day, and she had the successful active extract. But she did another further study. So she compared what is actually happening with the chemistry. So here she has day 1, day 3, and days 5 and 7. So according to her results, she was losing the bioactivity on day 7, but the highest or optimum activity was being obtained on day 5. But according to this chemical analysis, day 5 and day 7 were very similar. The only difference was that on day 7, the yield was going down and the organism, the microorganism, was starting to deplete the produced bioactive metabolites. So using the loadings plot, so these dots here actually represents the different components found in the active and inactive extract. So Bella was able to formulate an evidential hypothesis. So the active extracts, according to her, by fusing her data sets from the LCMS and the NMR, so the active compounds are non-polar as achieved by the retention time or determined by the retention time. They have aliphatic lipids with chemical shifts of 1 to 2 ppm and molecular weights of 200 to 300 Daltons. The inactive compounds or inactive fractions contain a polar retention time, which means they are eluting faster. Most of them are aromatics with chemical shifts of 5 to 12 ppm in the NMR. And the molecular weight is, however, more diverse between 100 to 500 Daltons. So Bella decided to work both on the inactive and inactive. And here she was able to find out that all the inactives were indeed, her hypotheses were correct, were small aromatic compounds as well as diketopiperazines, and they were coming out here in a more polar retention time. She was also able to isolate these inactive steroids, which gave her a molecular weight between 395 and around 410 Daltons. Going to the active compounds, her hypothesis was also again correct. So here are fatty acids, and they were indeed the bioactive compounds. After purification, she tested all these compounds, and they were indeed active against the sea lice, which were antiparasitic to the salmons. So here we could see the different beta and alpha fatty acids that she was able to isolate. So what's the conclusion? Using metabolomic tools, these provided us a clear and well-signposted map to target our destination. As we know, if you're working with natural products research, this field of research could be a maze, okay? But we do believe that using metabolomics, these could give us better roadmaps and traffic signs. So with natural products research, we don't want to end up in a roundabout within roundabouts, or using an SOP that sends us to different directions. I do believe that natural product research, especially when finding novel compounds, needs a lot of luck, but we don't want to be getting the wrong direction. And we also don't want to go into road surprises. And at the end, okay, after using all our resources, we don't want to call it as a waste and be faced with the sign, wrong way, go back. So I can't go to the next slide now. Anyway, so yeah, to conclude again, so we do believe our approach has really put us further in trying to target and isolate our bioactive metabolites. And finally, I would like to thank the people who helped this research. So the postdoc, Dr. McIntyre, Dr. Tsang, Dr. Taufike, and of course, Bella, who also worked with me as a postdoc, Ms. Black from Marine Biopolymer, and Dr. Safe, who has just graduated a month ago, and of course, our collaboration with the industry, Pharmac from Norway, Mattis from Iceland, and Marine Biopolymers from Scotland, and of course, our funding agency. So without our funding agency, of course, we'll not be able to do this work. And lastly, I would like to thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ru Angeli. I'm sorry I call you by your first name because
No
it's simple for me.
problem.
Okay, again, thank you for your presentation. So ladies and gentlemen, we have finished delivering a very informative and also comprehensive presentation from our two outstanding speakers. And now it's time for us to discuss. Because the time available for discussion is only 30 minutes, so the discussion is divided into two sessions, where each session of 15 minutes is allocated to 3 questioners. And if we still have time, then I will open the third session. So I invite for the first session to 3 questioners. Please, you can raise your hand. I watch in the chat. The first is from Prof. Ari Purbayanto. Maybe you can ask to Dr. Petri Suronen. Ari? Oh, while waiting, if someone from a participant would like to ask to the Dr. Ru Angeli or Dr. Petri Suronen, please.
I can see it. I can see the question in the chat box. So
in the chat from
I'm sorry.
Ari
Yes,
Purbayanto.
Prof. Detri, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I already wrote my
in the
question
chat.
in the chat. Yeah, in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Suranan. Just to
thank you.
My question is simple, yeah, because our Indonesian fisheries is multi-species fisheries and mostly composed by small-scale fisheries. That mean they use less than 30 gross tonnage. That's about 90% of Indonesian fisheries that's employed by what we call traditional fisher. So this is very difficult. Even we have many regulation policy about what we call to manage our fisheries in sustainable manner. For example, we have many small-scale troll, but in local they don't want to call troll, but resemble with troll. That's very difficult to manage the illegal troll. Yeah. Could you any idea how we can to manage our sustainable fisheries with the composed mostly by small scale fisher? And we have industrial troll in Arafura Sea, but already banned by our last minister, Miss Susi Pujiastuti last time. So up to now, we don't have industrial troll fisheries. Could you give your idea, because this is very difficult if we introduce square mesh, or we introduce bycatch excluder device for small scale like troll. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Please.
Yeah, I know it's very complicated.
Yes.
Complicated situation, and I am aware that you have a lot of troll-like fishing. Although troll fishing is banned, you still have a trolling-like fishing, and yeah, I think you need to figure out how you can reduce the fishing capacity and kind of get your fish stocks back in productive shape. Those fish stocks that have collapsed or reduced, and the only way I know how things are done here in Nordic countries are that the government and the fishermen and the industry sit on the round table, but we have the option that we can compensate those fishermen who have to leave the livelihood, and there is resources that we can compensate and have alternative livelihoods. And most of the cases, those alternative livelihoods are in fish processing, which means that we take more value of the fish. But we have reduced the capacity with the help of government and with kind of collaboration with the fishing sector, so that every people still have a livelihood. You cannot reduce the fishing effort or fishing capacity if people die to hunger. You have to have a system in place that the alternative gives them a livelihood. So I would say that you probably have too much fishing, troll type fishing and maybe gillnet fishing in Indonesian waters, as far as I could see. So you have to focus more on taking more value and have a more processing this and products, and increase the value from the fish, so the people can work at shore, in processing plants or whatever. But this you have to be able to give the alternative livelihood. Otherwise, no hope. They will go to sea, whatever rules there are. So that's my feeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Soronan. I think you have some question, Pak Ari? More about that?
Thank you.
Clear, yeah?
Even this is, yes, clear, but it is very difficult because that's concerned with the livelihood of our small scale fisher. When we transfer the from fisher to, for example, aquaculture and fish processing, they don't have enough knowledge. So maybe the government should facilitate them to increase their skill. That's maybe that's one of option we can do, yeah, of course, by facilitation of our government. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes. You need your government invest on this issue. Otherwise, it's not possible to change.
Thank you, Petri.
Yeah. So I invite someone other. Pak Asbas, I look briefly on the chat.
Thank you, Pak Ditri.
Yeah.
Prof. Petri, Soronan, thank you. You have a lot of experience also doing study in Indonesian fisheries. Interesting. Just to share, we know Indonesia has experience to ban troll fishery for the last 5 years during the Minister Susi, right? And yes. You know also maybe the Arafura Sea is the highest abundant biomass of shrimp fishery in Indonesia. And then do you have idea? You just explained us. Troll has a big impact on ecosystem, we can say like that. And then exercise of the government to ban all the gear troll-related fisheries, troll-related fisheries. And do you have idea what kind of fishing gear we can use to utilize the shrimp fisheries? Yeah, we have idea to use trammel net, for example, but it's not effective as a troll. Another issues of troll is conflict between fisher. Yeah, because Pak Ari already mentioned that the most of our fisheries is small scale fisheries, and the conflict among fisher is the big issues. And then another problem. And the last, I did not question only your comment about that, because you know the Indonesian fisheries already. And then we think that the managed fisheries is manage people, not manage a resource itself. And then this is our problem. Yeah, we difficult to manage the people, I mean that the fisher and also the another stakeholder, even government. Yeah, amongst national government and the local government is not harmonized to comply with the regulation we have. Thank you, Pak Ditrik. This is only a comment and maybe.
Thank you, Pak Mas. You want to answer a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I have some few comments. First of all, fishermen are difficult to manage all over the world, not only in Indonesia. It's always difficult. But of course, you have an extra challenge. You have so many, you have millions. But when it comes to trawling and shrimp, I have to say that the bottom trawling is the most efficient way to catch shrimp. It's a trammel net. It's hopeless. And also there has been a lot of experiments if you can catch shrimp with bots, but it's not very efficient. Maybe in the future it will improve. So what I think, you could still have a industrial shrimp trawling in the Arafura Sea, but only in allocated areas. You should find those places which are very productive with shrimp, but not so sensitive. And the fish trawling have to take place in those areas only. Because with the shrimp, you can, it's very profitable. You have the women in the Sorong and Ambon have a work when they process it, and it's not necessarily so bad for the environment. So that kind of shrimp trawling, I think, would make sense instead of gill nets. You probably trammel net to do more damage than with trawls. But what I would like to say, all the trawl fishing near the shore, all around Indonesia, trawl fishing or something like trawl fishing, you should be very careful. You should probably ban most of that trawling. But the Arafura shrimp trawling, to my mind, is actually quite good. But you have to limit the area and you have to do the study where the shrimp are. And I would call it allocated trawling area. And you can, with the satellite, you can really follow the boats. And I don't remember what else. Was this the main issues in your questions? But you know, I don't see that trawl fishing is so bad. In some cases, trawl fishing is the best way to fish. So I don't want to discuss that banning something is a solution. Instead, I would like to say control where and when and how it's done. It's more a solution. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sornen. I see on the screen, I invite Dr. Kustiaria. I guess your question goes to Dr. Ru Angeli. I guess, yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Dietrich. Yeah, so very glad to have Dr. Ruan by us among us here. So thank you very much for the sharing. I have a general question actually. So in marine natural products, you mentioned before that it is important to have novel compounds. So in case of Indonesia, we have, let's say, mega biodiversity and so on. So many resources. So could you please share any strategy to select or maybe how to say, yeah, to select the most prospective resources for that, so we can spend efficiently any resources that we have. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kusti. Yes, so I think the best way really to focus your attention is to use the ecological observations. Yeah. So, for example, well, would you consider, for example, mangroves? The mangrove area is already a very good environment to do your first observation. So, for example, when fishes are not coming near a certain mangrove plant, then there should be something in this mangrove plant. Okay. Or if you are a diver and you see that the fishes are not really coming into a certain sponge, then there must be something interesting in this sponge. However, in my research, we already have stopped working with sponges or soft corals due to we don't want to deplete sponges and soft coral in our marine environment. So we are focusing more our attention on the microorganisms that's living in these sponges and soft corals. The same thing with the mangrove plants. So I have, for example, a student in Malaysia who is working on fungal endophytes from mangrove plants. And we do see a lot of chemical diversity as well in these microorganisms, could either be a fungi or a bacteria. So they could be as interesting as the host organism. Well, we still pose the question, which is the real producer of these bioactive metabolites really? Is it the sponge, the host organisms, or the microorganisms? Yeah, so why not? So I think it's easier to do a scale up on microorganisms if they would live in our laboratory environment, yeah, which is still quite a challenge for us. But then with molecular biology, we are able to see what are the type of genes, this could be silent genes anyway, that we could play around and say, okay, this could be responsible for the bioactivity, yeah, by using, for example, a metabolomics approach. So we could pin down those compounds, yeah. Just for example, in Safe's case, he was not able to isolate these compounds that was targeted by the metabolomics approach, but then we are able to find out, for example, these type of chemistry they're showing, so which means we could work on the genetics of these compounds later on. Did I answer your question, Christy?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
It's interesting, yeah, Bu Kustia, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I hope that Bu Kustia, maybe you can start actually to collaborate with Dr. Ru Angeli after pandemic. Dr. Ru Angeli can
my
come
pleasure.
to Indonesia and then we
I have
collaborate.
visited. Yeah, sure,
Yeah, we
Professor.
collaborate together.
I have
I think
visited
it's
her
time.
labs already in Glasgow. Guys, very
Okay,
sophisticated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
I
thank
think
you,
could work
Dr.
together,
Angeli.
Christy.
Yes, thank you.
So I see on the screen, Pak Fedi, I think you want to question Dr. Petri Suronen, yeah? Yes, Pak Fedi.
Thank you, Professor Ditri Bengen. Hello, Dr. Petri Suronen. I have a question. This is regarding the limited access to the fish resources, because I think this is something that we propose in our country, that not everyone can fish in the water. So I want to know from you how governments in developed countries select business players, officers, like granting licenses, etc. What is the requirements? I want to know the practice, because probably we need to learn step by step toward managing our resources. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really difficult question, and I can only say that how in Finland we have a commercial fishermen need to have a license. You cannot do commercial fishing if you don't have a license. And the way the license are given, it's the collaboration with the local fisheries kind of association and the local governments. And the aim has been that there should be not more fishermen than the resource allowed, because then nobody is profitable. And with this number of licenses, you control the fishing effort in a way that you have certain number of fishermen, they have certain number of fishing gears they are allowed to utilize. But it's easy to say and very difficult actually to make. But I think you have to go to local level collaboration, kind of round table. I know in Indonesia you have fishermen association, but often different gear have different association. You have more complicated picture, and you have a lot of people in the system. Like you have more fishermen than we have people in Finland, and of course the scale is so different. But as I thought earlier, the government have to have resources to support alternative livelihood, development of alternative livelihood, which are fisheries related. It can be It can be fish processing, aquaculture, fish, whatever, boat building. But if you have too many people on the fishing ground, it's not going to work. It's just going to get worse. So first you have to have the capacity limited. And I don't know, it would be fantastic to work with you and find solution, to have some examples, some areas where we do but a lot of talking. You have to have a good roundtable discussion with fishing association, and you have to find these alternative livelihoods. That's the way I would approach. And of course, at the same time, you have to look at how they do the fishing. As I told in my presentation, you can do fishing in a bad way or good way. And that's also important, that there is good advice where and when and how to fish and where not fish. But I'm happy to come to Indonesia and talk with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Suronen. I think it's Dr. Suronen answer your question, yeah, Pak Fedi, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes. So I would like to invite my colleague from Department of Technology, Natural Reproduct, Dr. Mala, Nuril Mala, or Professor Nurjana, to comment and to ask to Dr. Ru Angeli, because for me personally, it's interesting, yeah, the research of Dr. Ru Angeli. So I hope if someone from THP could comment or ask the question to Dr. Ru Angeli, because something in the research I think is interesting for us in Indonesia, yeah?
Yeah, I could see a comment question on the chat box.
Okay.
Should I read it?
Yeah.
So the question is there any possibility to apply, wait, I lost it, marine-derived drug bioactive substances to support healthy coastal biogenic ecosystems? For example, supporting mangroves against pathogenic fungi, for hard corals against diseases. The answer is yes. Yeah, that is actually a typical ecological experiment, and we've already found a lot of compounds from mangroves, okay, that could be expressed in certain in the presence of pathogenic fungi or diseases. So yes, it's possible. So I think it's just work with the mangrove itself. So if you work with endophytic fungi that's from the mangrove, so you don't need really a lot from the mangrove, just a little bit of the bark or a little bit of the roots, okay, and then you could derive the endophytes, and you could make a small experiment whether this would work against the expected pathogenic fungi, and definitely you would find something.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Angeli. And I think in Indonesia, not only mangrove, yeah, you have also the biggest ecosystem like coral reefs, yeah, and also seagrass. I think many things you can extract from these three main ecosystems, yeah, of the
yes,
coast.
right. Yeah, and in my opinion, they're just not really being expressed.
Yeah.
But we as scientists, we are here really to do this expression further to help the organism to survive or protect them from their ecosystems. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ru. So we have still 3 minutes if someone would like to ask to our two speakers.
Professor Dietrich, if I may.
Yeah.
Yes. I have questions for Dr. Ru Angeli. It's more general questions, but one of the problems in developing research in the use for animal or human is how to make it how to escalate it until you can use it for like if actually apply it to the human, right? And that's one of problems in Indonesia, because we have a lot of potential, but then again, we kind of like don't know how to promote it and don't know how to be able to just like push it until it can be applied into a product. Maybe you have some kind of like tips how to do it.
All right. Okay, I might not have the right tips, but Dr. Fauci, we have the same problem here in the UK. So we could not really, so these are these ethical restrictions, which means we could not really further do it on humans. So the way we're doing our research is to do it indirectly. So for example, these anti-biofilm assays. So we are directing it to not to humans, but we're using it as a prophylaxis, for example, to disinfect so materials in the hospitals, yeah, so catheters, pacemakers. So if we could stop or eradicate this biofilm forming bacteria, okay, then we've already win a lot. So we really, for these type of research, we don't need any ethical restrictions. Okay, we just need to know, of course, the because we are dealing with instruments. Okay, we are disinfecting instruments. Now, regarding residual toxicity, so of course we have bioassays for that as well, that they're not toxic to human cells. So I know if we deal, for example, with anything directly on human, the human body, then we are already ethically restricted to do that. Yeah, even the use of animals is very difficult here in Scotland. So I think to apply for ethical, to go into the ethical rules to use animals in the experiments, it could take us 1 year to get our application approved for that. Yeah. Yeah, so I think the best way really to go forward in this type of research in natural products is that to go on the prophylactic side of things, yeah, rather than dealing directly on the human body.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Ruangeli. So since we have finished our 30 minutes, so I apologize for not opening the discussion again. So with the end of our session this afternoon, as the moderator, I would like to say thank you very much, and let's give applause to the two outstanding speakers through the reaction symbol on the Zoom. Yeah. Once again, thank you to the two speakers and the conference participant. And I apologize if there are things that are not pleasing to you while guiding the session. Thank you. Time I return to the host.
Thank you very much for our invited speakers and Prof. Dietrich for inspired sharing. On behalf of committee, we would like to give token of appreciation. Firstly, for our speakers. First to Petri Suranan, PhD. Thank you very much for wonderful sharing. And
Thank you.
And for Dr. Angeli Edrada Abel, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And also for Professor Dietrich as a moderator, thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you, Rika.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for this wonderful session. For all ladies and gentlemen, here we have an announcement. Please kindly confirm your attendance via the link on the chat box. Thank you very much.
Halo, kamu suka dengan dunia perikanan? Atau tertarik dengan bidang kelautan? Atau bahkan ingin memajukan masyarakat pesisir? Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan IPB University merupakan pilihan yang tepat buat kamu. Yuk kita simak beberapa alasan kenapa kamu harus pilih Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan IPB bersama saya, EMBRIO Brata. Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan IPB University merupakan fakultas tertua dan juga terbaik di Indonesia. Selain itu, fakultas ini juga merupakan fakultas penghasil berguna bagi para nelayan dan Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan IPB University sendiri memiliki 5 program studi yang sudah terakreditasi oleh Badan Akreditasi Nasional Perguruan Tinggi atau BAN-PT dan ASEAN University Network Quality Assurance atau AUNQA, serta Institute of Marine Engineering Science and Technology IMARES, yang terdiri dari pertama, Teknologi dan Manajemen Perikanan Budidaya. Di sini, kamu akan mempelajari sistem budidaya yang efektif dan profitable, tetapi juga teknologi, genetika, kesehatan, dan manajemen berbagai biota akuatik air tawar, payau, dan juga air laut. Kedua, manajemen sumber daya perairan. Jika kamu memiliki ketertarikan di bidang kelestarian, pengelolaan, dan konservasi sumber daya perairan, program studi manajemen sumber daya perairan ini sangat cocok untuk kamu. Ketiga, teknologi hasil perairan. Di program studi ini, kamu akan mempelajari berbagai teknologi mutakhir yang tepat guna dalam mengolah berbagai macam hasil perairan, hingga menjadi produk unggulan yang dapat dikomersialisasikan. Keempat, teknologi dan manajemen perikanan tangkap. Melalui program studi ini, kamu akan mempelajari terkait alat tangkap, teknologi eksplorasi sumber daya perikanan, hukum laut, dan mendesain alat transportasi perikanan. Dan yang kelima, ilmu dan teknologi kelautan. Di program studi ini sangat tepat bagi kamu yang ingin mempelajari penginderaan jauh dan akuastik kelautan, fenomena dan proses kelautan, serta interaksi sifat proses kimia organisme laut. Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan IPB University semakin unggul dengan sumber daya pengajar lulusan dalam dan luar negeri yang berkompeten di bidangnya. Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan IPB University tentunya memiliki fasilitas yang unggul dan lengkap untuk membantu mahasiswanya dalam kegiatan perkuliahan dan juga praktikum. Seperti laboratorium, kolam percobaan, stasiun lapang, ruang auditorium, dan prasarana lainnya. FPIK IPB University juga rutin mengadakan short course dan seminar internasional yang bertemakan perikanan dan kelautan secara luas setiap tahunnya. Serta kegiatan rutin yaitu bentuk pelayanan dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat. Terbuktikan kalau Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan IPB memang unggul, keren, dan berkualitas. Nah, buat kalian, para mutiara Nusantara, ayo gabung bersama IPB University.
The distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the last session. We pleased to invite the Director of EMBRIO IPB University, Dr. Vita Rumanti Kurniawati, to deliver the closing remarks. To Dr. Vita, the time is yours.
Thank you. Rizka, can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. The Dean of Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, IPB University, Dr. Ferdinand Julianda, the Secretary for Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs, Insinyur Agung Kuswandono, invited speakers, Dr. Ferdinand, Dr. Ru Angeli Egrada Ebel, Insinyur Kunchoro Chatunugroho, and Dr. Budi Wiryawan, our moderator, Prof. Ditri Bengan, and Dr. Luki Adrianto, also dear participants, colleagues, and students. I'd like to begin with thanking you for joining us in this symposium. I wish you all in a good health and happiness. Especially for our speakers, it has been an honor to have you in this event. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the world population is growing and the demand for fishery products is increasing. This growth has driven an intensive utilization of fish resources from both capture fisheries and aquaculture in the last few decades. Undeniably, it is leading to sustainability issues such as feedstock depletion, excessive use of energy and natural resources, as well as habitat destruction. Nevertheless, some natural resources, including marine resources, remain unexplored. Accordingly, a number of technological advancements have been developed to address the issues. By the end of 2019, when the world united to promote sustainable development in fisheries, the pandemic of COVID-19 affected our normal life and forced us to adopt new normal. This fact has doubled the challenge we face. First, surviving, and the other one, keep maintaining sustainability. This situation inspired us to conduct the symposium with related topic in order to gain various perspectives from government, professional, academics, and researchers. Today, we already heard great speech delivered by Insinyur Agung Kuswandono MA as a government representative. He pointed out that despite its ironic, marine fisheries should be the backbone of national economy. Strong collaboration between academics, industry, government, and community is a must. It's the key factor of success. In the first day session, interesting talk also delivered from two invited speakers. Dr. Suranan highlighted the role of fishing sector as a caretaker for marine environment, including key capture technologies, constraints and opportunities in development and adoption of low-impact fuel-efficient fishing, and improvement the economic viability and environmental sustainability of fishing operations. Meanwhile, Dr. Egrada Ebel pointed out that metabolomic analysis can be used as a tool for drug discovery derived from natural products. Metabolomic analysis ended with natural products databases enable rapid replications. According to what we've discussed today, there are some points that I want to sum up. First, the biggest problem in marine and fisheries industry in Indonesia is mismanagement. And the management measure should be started from the entire government. Secondly, pandemic COVID-19 is a wake-up call to develop new roadmap to create fishery industry, and to do so, strong regulation is required. Thirdly, related with development sustainable fisheries, socio-economic approach plays an important part in managing sustainable fisheries, as every change should make sense for fishers. Fourth, regarding the growth on demand for marine and fishery products, for both food and non-food products, new challenge that we face is how to produce more products with less footprints, and it's all our task. Last but not least, metabolomic analysis is a reliable tool that provides clear and well-signposted map to drug discovery. And this finding is a good sign that we can survive in this pandemic era. So that's the highlights for today's talk. And tomorrow we still have other two sessions, which we have which we hope will come up with another great summary. Thank you for all your attention and participation, and see you tomorrow. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Vita, for the closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, because the time comes to the end, I would like to say thank you for all of you for being with us in the first day in EMBRIO International Symposium 2021. And we will see you again in the second day of EMBRIO International Symposium 2021 on September 7, 2021 at 8 AM Jakarta time. Thank you for your participants and kind attention. See you tomorrow. Stay healthy and have a nice day. Good afternoon. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Terima kasih Prof. Fitri.
Mbak Rizka, semua teman-teman ya, Mbak Vita, semangat.
Terima kasih semua, mohon izin Prof.
Pak Agung ya, masih siap.
Agung, makasih.
Agung,
Mohon izin
terima
pamit.
kasih.
Makasih Mbak.
Prof. Fitri, terima kasih.
Ya, terima kasih semua Mbak Rizka. Ya,
Terima
Pak
kasih
Fitri,
semuanya.
Permisi.
Ya,
Terima kasih Bapak Ibu. Thanks
Assalamualaikum.
for staying till the end.
Waalaikumsalam.
Terima kasih Pak Fedi. Di stop dong kelas YouTube. Oh iya kan enggak ya?
Selamat Vita.